Before you ditch your niche, watch this video. I often see coaches jumping ship on perfectly good niches when they're not getting clients simply because they are missing what I'm going to be talking about and sharing with you today. Who am I? I'm Adria DeCourt. I'm host of the Unforgettable podcast. And over the last several years, I've used what I learned as a TEDx speaker to help hundreds of women coaches to get clear on their niche and to communicate why their people need them, and then use that clarity to land new clients, to increase their rates, and to do a lot less pushing when they're trying to get known online. And I'm here to help you too today. This is part 4 of the 4-part Is My Niche Profitable series. So this is the finale today, which is pretty exciting. And I'm going to just go ahead and share this. All right, perfect. And so this is where we're kind of going to take it home. Not that it's the last time I'm going to talk about niche, because I definitely am going to talk about niche a lot. But I want to address specifically this issue of niche switching, which is so common and not crazy. I've switched niches several times myself, so I understand it. I understand the need and the drive, and I understand when it feels like something's not working and you want to change it. But there is hope for your current niche, and I'm going to be sharing with you in just a moment. And if you watched any of the first 3 videos in this series, you know that I'm a big believer that often it's not your niche that's the problem, it's how you talk about your niche. And so stay tuned, we're going to talk about that. I'm going to give you my top 2 tips to do on your current niche before you jump ship. All right. So if you watch the first 3 videos, I helped you to determine if your niche is too broad. I helped you to choose a profitable niche, and I helped you to choose one focus if you're a multi-passionate person, which I'm guessing you might be. And so if you watched any of those, then you got that support. Did you catch any of those videos? Let me know in the comments by saying, caught it, whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay, because I go back around, I look at the comments and give you feedback, or answer your questions, all that kind of stuff after the broadcast has ended, because I like to keep this relationship going with you. All right, so let me know if you caught it, and if you're interested in seeing those last videos, write videos in the comments, and I will make sure to get you the link to the past broadcasts so you can do that. Okay, so in today's live video, I'm going to be walking you through probably the most important tweak that makes your niche profitable. And so if you're thinking of jumping ship and going to a new niche because you think it might be more profitable, you're going to want to stay tuned for this, because if you go to a new niche without getting this in place first, then that new niche was probably not going to be profitable either. It's probably not the actual niche that's the issue. So even if you end up switching niches anyway, make sure you have this in place first. It is so critically important, that it's probably one of the top things. I'm going to say these are the top 2 things that I see as issues that keep people from being paid online, especially coaches and those of us who really want to help, right? Okay, so while we're live, I'm going to be answering all of your questions, and if you're watching the replay, I will, like I said, I will keep coming back and checking any questions you have and responding. So make sure that if you have a question or you have an insight or you have anything like that, as I'm going through it, that you are also participating. I'm talking to you too. All right, and I want to get a sense of who is watching here. Who is a new coach? Type "that's me" in the chat, whether you're watching live or the replay. And do me a favor and let me know what type of coach you are. Are you a health coach, a life coach, a relationship coach? And who's been a coach for 6 months? Let me know if that's you. And who's been a coach for 1 year? What about 2 years? What about over 2 years? Let me know in the comments. So I myself have been in this business for several years, and I have niche switched 3 times. 3 times I'll say 3 times where I completely niche switched, but I've pivoted within niches more than that even. It's all an evolution and continuing evolution. And it's a big step. In my case, it meant deleting thousands of subscribers from my list, like burning down my email lists, and spending a year rebuilding my audience, my offerings, my confidence in what I did and what I was selling, my prices. So here's the problem. Okay, so let me give you an example of a member of my community, Jonah. Jonah has been confused and struggling with niches for years. He's a relationship coach, and he's dynamite at holding his compassionate communication workshops. Like, he's a fabulous workshop leader and fabulous at supporting people. He's great at getting people in the room, which is something a lot of us struggle with in the industry of coaching and doing live workshops. And the thing is that he worries that no one is going to pay him what he needs, and it'll be really hard to scale his business in the relationship niche. He sees business coaching, he perceives it as other people seeing it as more valuable, and that it's more scalable. And right now he's charging $1,500 for a year-long program in relationship coaching. And he'd like to sell programs that are $5,000 or more. And he says that most people see a couples counselor with insurance, and a lot pay much less than that. So last year, he pivoted into helping entrepreneurs lead and enroll workshops, which seems so logical, right? Because he was so good at that himself. It was kind of like he was really smart at looking at how had he been successful, what were people asking for help from him with, and then he decided to shift into that niche. So he did. And when he switched over, even though he enjoyed it, even though he was good at it, he found a struggle in getting people to his workshops. Pretty ironic, right? Which meant it was hard to find new clients. So he ended up switching back to relationships because he had more experience with it, and he found it easier to fill free workshops. And at this point, he's considering trying the business niche again, but he's feeling uncertain. And so this whole time, he has felt vague about his niche, and he has not felt confident about it. And I share this with you because this might be resonating with you. So, I mean, let me know in the comments, are you thinking of switching your niche because you aren't getting clients and another niche seems like it might be more profitable and more promising? Let me know if that's you. Comment below with your situation, with any questions you have, and I will give you feedback on this broadcast, or if you're commenting after the broadcast has ended, I'll come back around and I'll give you my advice in the comments as well. Okay. So maybe you're looking like Jonah, maybe you're looking at coaches in other industries and you're thinking, okay, well, if I helped with that, people would pay me, right? Or you're frustrated that people just don't seem to care when you talk about what you do, and it feels like a struggle to get clients. And so you're at that point like Jonah was, and I see Jonah's here and he's liked it. You're at that point where you're feeling like, okay, maybe I should be changing my niche. So I know I've mentioned this in my other videos, but it's worth repeating again because it is of key importance. This is probably the number one thing. Remember I said I was going to share 2 different things? This is the number one. All right. Often when a niche isn't profitable, it's likely not because of your niche. It's actually more about how you talk about it and how you position it. So it doesn't necessarily take switching your niche to bring it into being profitable. There's 2 shifts you can make. So number 1 is shifting the way that you talk about your niche so that you're focusing on the problem that you solve. And I talked a lot about this in video number 2 of this series. How do I choose a niche people want to pay for? I call this one of the communication barriers that stop clients from wanting to hire you. And when I'm done, I'll go ahead and I'll put the link to video number 2 below so you can easily link to that, because that's a huge, huge thing. This problem you solve, essentially what I mean by that is that you are solving a problem for people. It's you don't have a niche. It's not about like I work with this specific type of people, that's like one part of it. But the way to make them want to pay for it is by connecting it to what is the actual problem you're solving for them and what is it in their perspective. And I don't want to go any deeper into that because I have a whole other training completely on that. So, and one thing that I did for you so that you don't have to kind of scroll through an entire 30-minute video is I put that communication shift, that talking about the problem, plus the other two main barriers that I see in people talking about what they do and in clients wanting to hire them for it. I actually put together a toolkit for you. So if you want that toolkit, it's totally free. Just drop me a comment in the comment box saying barriers. Even if you're watching the replay, go ahead and do that. Hey, Janet, I'm very glad you are here. This is going to be very useful for you as well. So if you want to get my toolkit for the how to remove the 3 barriers that stop ideal clients from saying yes, then go ahead and write the word barriers in the comments so I know to send that over to you for free. All right. So number 1, like I said, you can get deeper support in that. So I want to really focus today on number 2. So the second shift that you can do to your current niche to make it more profitable without having to switch niches. And this is a lot deeper into how you're talking about your niche, how you're positioning it. So this is the actual language that you use. So one piece of this is a lot of times what happens is we use really, especially as coaches, especially as life coaches, right? We use really flowery language. We're really like heart-centered, and so we want to use language like, help you, get back to your core, or like find your heart's desire, or like you could probably fill in the blanks. Like let me know in the comments if you have one, if you've seen or if you have used some like really ambiguous language for yourself, or you've seen other coaches use it. Let's see. I'm trying to think of like get in touch with yourself, or those kind of words and phrases that we actually don't know what they mean. Like they don't elicit anything visual for us. Maybe they do for you when you're saying it, but you can't really translate that to your people. And so I talk about a lot about being clever instead of being clear. And this is so key that you really, really, if you want people to want to pay you, if you want people to take your call to action and sign up and do different things, that you actually don't need to be clever. Clever is getting in the way. Flowery language that's ambiguous is actually getting in the way of people wanting to pay you. So the more clear you can get, and when I say clear, I mean visual, concrete language that they understand, that maybe like a 7-year-old would get. It's okay. You don't have to sound fancy. You don't have to sound like really beautiful and flowery. No, it's actually getting in the way of people signing up. So the more clear you can get it, the more powerful what you're saying is going to be, and the more specific. So if you've watched any videos of mine, you know that I'm a nut for being specific, because the more specific you get, the more people hear what you're saying. So if you're really generic and broad in general, then they may not actually be listening. And I know I've used this example before, but I'm going to use it again because it bears repeating. So if you're scrolling through your Facebook and you come across a post and it says like, hey, women, and you're a woman, you'd be like, well, that's me, but it's also 50% of the population, so I'm going to keep scrolling. But if you're scrolling through your Facebook and you see a post and it says, hey, mothers of 3, and you are a mother of 3, then you're probably like going to possibly read the rest because you're like, they are talking to me. And that's the same principle here. Is like the more specific about the person and what they're going through that you can get, the more powerful it's going to be. And the more people are going to listen up. And so when we're talking about your niche, And the reason that it's not profitable, before you niche switch, take your current niche and see how specific you can get about it. See how much you can hone in. See how deep you can go with that, and then do that language audit of like, how can I make this as clear as possible? Is there anything in here that's like really flowery and someone who doesn't know anything about the coaching industry wouldn't understand? Like your ideal client, would they understand this language? Would it mean the same thing to them as it does to you? So just so you can get an actual example of this, because it may not be super concrete, I'm going to share an example in a moment, but let me know. Oh, hey, Michelle. Yay. I'm so glad you're joining. Let me know in the comments, leave me a 1 if you're understanding this. And if you're not understanding this and you have a question, please leave it in the comments, whether you're watching live or the replay. I come back around and I, answer your questions so that I can help you. And if you're just joining now, then and you have any questions or any like a specific situation that you want me to give you feedback on around switching your niche or even just around niche in general, please feel free to leave it at any point, because that's what I'm here for. I'll make time to answer those questions. All right, so let me give you a specific example. And this is from Lynette, a member of my community. Lynette has been in business as a coach for a lot of years, and she's been helping ambitious women to stress less and achieve more. That's how she says it. And saying this has really worked for her, getting clients through local networking events, because she would go to networking events and she would say this and it would be catchy, and people would come up to her and be like, okay, I'm stressing a lot and I really want to achieve, so tell me more about what you do. So it worked really well in person. And I don't always recommend things that are that clever. Like, this feels really clever. It's not really quite saying as much exactly about what she does and the problem she solves, right? But it worked for her enough for a long time. And now she's shifting into the online world where she's not around to have in-person conversations with people. And she needs to make her marketing copy more compelling, and she needs to hone her communication and her niche so that it's drawing in the right people, because she's not there to have the one-on-one connection with every single person that comes her way, to explain to them and to show them what it is by going deeper. So I'm just looking at my notes. Okay, so what happened is in video number 2, I helped her to see that the most powerful thing that she could do would be to focus on the problem that she solves. Remember, I just mentioned that a moment ago, and how she talks about her work. And so Lynette brainstormed, and she came back with this, which I'll preface before I say it. It's a lot more specific. So listen up as I share this with you to see the shift in how Lynette is talking about her work and see how it might apply to you and getting more clear and more specific. Okay, so she came back with, and she said, I help female solopreneurs create the time that they need to finally shift their side hustle into their full-time business without walking through their days feeling like a zombie, sacrificing sleep and all the things that bring them the most joy. All right? So obviously it can keep getting honed and more tightened up and shorter and more specific, but there's a core bones here now. There's a bones of what is the problem you're solving? What are they going through right now? Why would they want to come to you? And using the language they're already feeling, they're already thinking about. So they're in a place where they're having a hard time shifting their side hustles to their full-time business, and they just feel like they don't have the time. And so they feel like they're sacrificing sleep, and that's making them walk through their days like a zombie. And so you see how we're connecting to where they are, and we're looking at, okay, this is the problem that they're in right now. They just don't have enough time to get it all done. And so she's really connecting to what they're thinking, and it's a lot more specific, and it's clear language. She could have put this into really clever language again, but she chose to choose things that were a lot more connected to what these women are actually saying. Okay, so what is your biggest takeaway so far from this training? I want to hear it. If you're here live, I want to hear it now. If you are watching the replay, I still want to hear it because I'm going to come back around and look and read what you're saying. And so to recap, while you're doing that, the most important thing that you need to know from what I've shared today is that if your niche isn't getting you clients, simply switching niches won't work because you're going to bring the same problems over to the next niche. So what you need to do is address the way that you talk about your niche. And today I shared 2 places to start, which is 1, redefining your niche as the problem that you solve, and then 2, choosing more clear language and getting as specific as you possibly can. Okay? So today I gave you those tips on how you talk about what you do is actually more important than your actual niche. And a lot of the things I was talking about today are part of the top barriers that I see that keep keep clients from saying yes to working with you. And if you want my help removing all 3 of those barriers, I have a free toolkit for that. And you can get that by just writing barriers in the comments so that I can see and I can give you that link. And that's just my best free tool that I have to help you really move through these things so that you're not the one accidentally stopping people from saying yes, because that's not a good feeling. Alrighty, okay, so thank you so much for joining me today. This concludes my 4-part Is My Niche Profitable series. If you didn't see any of the others, go back and watch them on my Facebook page. Hey Brett, glad you're joining. And if you want those videos, of course, write the word videos in the comments and I'll make sure I get you those links too. All right, I'm gonna be back soon with another live, so go ahead and make sure to like my page and click the follow button here so that you be notified for future videos. All right, bye-bye for now.